Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
UFC Perth back in Australia for Della Maddalena versus Pratas. Fun main event. Decent card, but the main event will be the focus here. We'll break down the main card. 5 fights like normal. Provide free picks, leans, price talk, fades, and more. Systemsportscapping.com or link.me/system capping for client opportunities. Learn how to beat the sports books long term in multiple sports. Every sport we handicap, we profit. Currently handicapping the UFC, PGA, NHL, and NBA playoffs at low volume. World Cup is coming up. Early start time, guys. Keep this in mind. You're going to be waking up in the East Coast. The fight's going to be on. I would say the main fight's probably around 9 a.m. 7 a.m. is going to be the main card. 4 a.m. is actually going to be the start of the card. Probably not going to wake up for that, especially the fights aren't great. If they were great fights or even decent fights early on, I would wake up at 4 a.m. I've done it before. I think I'll get away with 6 a.m., 7 a.m. To watch a few fights on the prelims to get ready for that main card. Let's do a UFC Vegas 116 recap. Clean card for myself and clients. Just 2 bets. We put into a 2-fight parlay, so counts as 1. It was a round parlay. I actually didn't like many sides. Didn't find a lot of value. Not finding a ton of value on the fight night cards as of late. I have found a few plays that I do like this week. What do we have? Over in the main event, I expect the fight to go to the distance. Hopefully you guys did tail that. That was my favorite play. Over in rounds, fight to go to the distance. In that fight, Sterling gets it done. There's a little value there at the plus money. Not enough to get excited about. I expected Sterling. I expected it to be a close fight. Sterling, wins with the wrestling and grappling. That was the difference. The body lock was the difference. We've seen him do that time and time again. Neither guy have power. Submission. Both guys were had good submission defense, so it would be tough to see a submission finish there. And that's how the fight ended. By decision, Sterling. He's not far from a title shot, guys, at this division. Another win or two, he's not far from it. Zalal proven that he's not ready for the top 5. Turned out not to be a great matchup due to the grappling concerns. Bit surprised in the co-main event. Edwards got the job done in a close fight. I'm glad I stayed away from that fight completely. Obviously, the favorite play was the over 2.5 rounds. Fight goes the distance. That would have been the play for there if I were to bet it. You got to pay up for it, though. Of course, if I had to bet aside, it would have been Dumont. I probably leaned Dumont in the podcast last week. A little surprised she didn't get it done. I think it was a close fight. I think she was kind of surprised she lost, but I think Edwards did enough. I think she landed the bigger shots, Edwards, if I recall from that fight. And Barcelos, I got to tip my cap to this guy, plus 155. Hopefully you guys did tail. That was the value of the podcast, was Barcelos plus 155. You can't give me, a Jackson who's just more of he has to knock you out. He doesn't throw enough to win decision, doesn't grapple. And Barcelos was just able to expose him in the grappling department. And that's kind of how I expected it. If Barcelos made an MMA fight, he wins the fight. And that's what he was able to do. Wrestle, grapple, just use his veteran experience. Guys, at 39, he's fighting his best right now. It's exciting to watch. Barcelos could start getting, ranked guys. Like, why not start giving him some ranked guys? Because, he doesn't have, I can't say he doesn't have much left. At 39, he's still doing it, guys. I would say he's at the end of his career, the back 9, as they say, right? So, interesting to see what he does next, but give him a big name. Give him a bigger name, and let's see how he does. Like this video, guys. If you are watching on YouTube, give me a thumbs up, comment, share. If you're listening over on Spotify and Apple, please review. It helps me out a ton. Great way to support me and all the free picks I give out each week if you're not a client. 68% on the year, average line plus money, guys. That's the current standings on where we are at. of course, for clients. Let's get into this card. Guys. Shop around, get the best price out there. UFC is very important to shop around because books do vary. Madalena plus 100 versus Pratas minus 120. Great fight on paper. Excited for this one, guys. Surprised Pratas' favorite. I actually had it flipped. I would have flipped these prices as Jack minus 120 favorite, and I'll tell you why here. I think Jack's more well-rounded fighter, more complete, right? Just coming off, remember, he was a champion not long ago. Just lost to Islam. Let's not look at that too much. Kind of a deer in the headlights type of situation. Wasn't able to get going against Islam. Who is? Who is able to get it going against Islam? Nobody. So let's not hold him to that, even though he didn't look great in that fight. I think he bounces back. He's fighting at home. It's difficult to fight in Australia. The time difference is huge. Now, Pratas, he did mention, I think he maybe be a little more adapt to it. He said that I think he may have lived here. He said that his daughter, if I recall and heard this right, is Australian. I may have heard that correctly when I heard him in a press conference. But either way, it's still advantage Jack, right? With the time difference, the climate, etc. So you have to give him that. I give him the more well-rounded fighter approach as well. Jack's a more well-rounded guy. So that's the way I would look at from that type of standpoint. Prada's just a KO guy. He needs to knock you out. Right? It's hard to see him winning like just a decision. I just don't think he throws enough volume on the feet. Right? Jack's been shown to be durable in his career. Never finished in the UFC. Pratas will have a reach advantage, guys. He usually does, right? Those long arms. 5-inch reach here for Pratas. Jack needs to make this MMA fight, in my opinion. He does love to stand. He has some of the best boxing in the UFC, but Pratas' only path is to knock him out and hit him with a big shot. So I think Jack needs to make it ugly, mix in some wrestling and grappling, maybe hold against the cage, just some bodying. He's going to be the stronger guy in there. Mix it up. Don't just stand and bang for 5 rounds, even though you could win that way. It's just more risky due to Pradas' KO power. The output by Jack is much higher, right? Let's look at some stats here. 5.33 significant strikes per minute compared to Pratas' low at 3.7. Pratas has shown good takedown defense over his career, 80% takedown defense, guys. So, again, Jack's not known for his wrestling. You don't see it much, but I think he could use some of it here. It's just because he hasn't used it a ton, how much success will he have with it when Pratas does have some good takedown defense? Jack has gone 5 rounds. Well, he's been in 5-round fights more. Pratas only once, but it didn't go 5 rounds. I expect Jack to have the cardio advantage as well. I'm not saying just because Pratas smokes cigarettes, but just overall, Jack's game is built for 5 rounds and how he fights, right? Hard to stay off the good price here on Jack. Of course, Pratas could hurt Jack. How I look at it is Jack has more ways to win. I think if it goes decision, I believe Jack wins the fight if it goes decision. I believe he's more active. I believe he could finish Pratas. I believe he can finish him in multiple ways by submission or KO on the feet. Pratas' only path in my eyes is to knock out Jack. I have that at a lower odds, so that's why I'm able to bet Jack here at this price, and that's how I'll be looking in this fight. Dariush plus 350 versus Selkid minus 450. Future champion from Australia? Very possible. A lot of hype around this guy. I'm slowing it down because I haven't seen him beat anyone that good yet. But he has been beating guys pretty, if you want to say, right? A lot of knockouts, looking good doing it. A lot of hype around him. Big step up, though, now against Dariush. I think he's catching him at the right time. I don't think Dariush has a ton left. Chin's questionable. Towards the end of his career, 3 of his last 4 fights, he's been knocked out. Now, he's been knocked out against the best of the best. BSD, Armand Tsaroukian, Charles Oliveira, right, guys? So I can't hold him to that much here, but, his chin has gone, and you can clearly see it. Great grappler, great wrestler, but does he decide to do that? I think that's his path here, Dariush. He needs to just grapple and wrestle here. He doesn't want to stand and bang. Now, the Aussie could grapple and wrestle as well, and that's why I think it's a good matchup for him, and that's why I think he wins here. It's just very difficult to bet him on minus 450. And when you look at an outcome, which I do lean for a finish here, you're paying like minus 155, minus 150 out there for Selka to get a finish in this fight, which I do lean he will. So Dariush's path, try to wrestle, try to grapple, try to make MMA fight. I believe he gets caught with a big shot, and I believe he doesn't have enough success getting this fight down to the ground and having success in his grappling department. That's why I have to look at the Aussie fighter. Obviously, he's fighting at home. Dariush traveling for this one. Only way I can look is that way, even though I don't agree with the minus 450 due to the step up in resume and price. But again, he's looked good doing it. You only can fight who they give you. Big resume advantage, though. That's why I don't agree with this large price. I do agree that the favorite should get the job done, though. Tim Elliott's back, plus 190 versus Urseg, minus 230. Interesting one here. Elliott has found a second life, right, at the end of his career. 39 now, back-to-back wins, and a big one by submission over Asakura. Urseg fighting at home, trying to get back into the groove of things, right? He came off that win over Osborne, but he had three losses in a row prior to that win. And I wouldn't say he looked great in the Osborne fight. He got knocked down once, but he was able to squeak out a decision there. So he proved that Urseg's not a top guy, right, in this division. When he stepped up to the best, he lost all 3 of those fights. Elliott's been around, right? You guys know. Tim Elliott's been around, fought everybody. Fairly well-rounded, likes to wrestle and chain wrestle. I think that's his path here. If he decides to come out here and just chain wrestle, he can win this fight. And that's why I think, I like the Elliott value prior. This Urseg line has dropped. It is opened up around minus 400. A lot of money came on Elliott. Now, I don't think there's a lot of value now on Elliott plus 190. Not excited to bet him at that price. But I do think there is still value on Elliott here. Now, there was a lot of more value when you can get it at plus 280. Now, though, not excited to bet it because I do think Urseg, obviously can win this fight. Elliott's path needs to be to chain wrestle, try to get this fight down to the ground. Urseg can be taken down, guys. 62% takedown defense. Keep that in mind. Now, this fight's tough to call an outcome. I do lean more of over 2.5 rounds and the fight goes to decision. Elliott has been submitted 6 times in his career. Urseg has 6 submission wins. So I think that is a path for Urseg to win this fight. If it doesn't go decision, I think that submission prop is live there. So not super confident the fight goes decision is the way I would look, though. Because, submission, I have that around 30% in this fight, which is low enough for me to bet the fight over 2.5 rounds decision. 7 out of 10 times, just enough for me to bet that there. But yeah, a little value here on Elliott. I think Urseg finds a way, but I'm not betting a side here for clients. Perisic minus 135 versus Gaziv plus 115. The Croatian fighter that fights out of City Kickboxing. Interesting one. You're not going to hear that too often. So a home fight for him, technically, and a slight favorite. I do believe he should be the slight favorite. He is still raw. That's one little concern. He has a lot of kickboxing background. He's 6-1 MMA, 2-0 in the UFC, though. But beat some shitty guys that aren't even worth mentioning, to be honest. Gaziv has 5 fights in the UFC now, 3-2, with some low-level wins over Peterson and Mays and Buddha, some of the bottom end of the division guys. Gaziv's path is to try to get this fight down to the ground. He has gotten some takedowns in prior fights. He's not going to want to stand and bang with the Croatian kickboxer. Last thing he wants to do. So I don't think he's good enough to just keep him and hold him down there. I don't think he's a big-time wrestler. Parasite's going to want to keep this fight standing and bang, right? The kickboxing background. If he can do it, I think he wins this fight. And I don't think the price is terrible. I can back him here at this price, minus 135. Shop around, maybe get a better price out there. Remember, these are just standard market lines. Always shop around. But yeah, I would lean the Croatian here. Again, big advantage on the feet. I don't think Gaizev's wrestling's good enough to just win the fight due to his wrestling. So, lean the Croatian. You're not excited about it because of the grappling wrestling advantage for Gaizev, but I think he could do enough on the feet, fighting at home, city kickboxing. Give me the Croatian here. Last one we'll talk about. It's a fun one because it's Tuivasa, minus 205 versus Sutherland, plus 170. I think UFC's giving him a favor here. He's been fighting just a bunch of high-level guys, and Tuivasa's not that guy, right? He's not a high-level, top five type fighter. Aussie card needs Tuivasa, right? Even though he's been struggling, lost 6 fights in a row, he's a fan favorite. He's always going to be in the UFC. Not too many guys out there that could say they lost 6 fights in a row and still on the UFC card. There's a reason why he's on, and it's for a fight like this. UFC is giving Sutherland maybe the worst guy in the division, one of the worst, let's say. 0-2 in the UFC, back-to-back finishes in the first round. I think Tuivasa wins this fight. The Shui comes out in Australia, and minus 205, I never thought I would say this, minus 205 is not terrible for Tuivasa in this situational spot, right? I never thought I would say I would bet on Tuivasa again. I got to try to bet on him. If you can approve that price to get a finish, look that way. Tuivasa in a 2-fight parlay, good option there. But that's the only way I can look here at Tuivasa at home. I think UFC is doing him a favor. Sutherland's just a bad fighter, guys. And if he beats Tuivasa, obviously a shot, right, at the end of the day. But Tuivasa has to retire in that ring if he doesn't get the job done. That will do it, guys. That will do it. Fun card. Got to wake up early to watch it. Not important to wake up early to for the early prelims, and the prelims is not a good fight for me to wake up that early, but I'll wake up, roll a bed at 7. I'll be watching some of the prelims and then the main card as well. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Enjoy this card.